Hello, good morning. As an airplane flies over top of my house, I do have a new wireless mic on, and it tends to not pick up the background sounds, but it doesn't sound as good. So, hmm. Anyway, it's been a minute since I've posted a video, and that's due to Mercury retrograde. The last video I posted was a nightmare, and it was during Mercury retrograde. So I was like, that's it. I'm not posting any more videos to YouTube during a Mercury retrograde. It was an absolute nightmare. It was the worst experience I've ever had trying to upload and edit and all that jazz. So I was like, I'm waiting for the Mercury retrograde to end, which was May 14th or 15th. And then I was going to do my April roundup. And then I looked at my notes from April and I was like, I don't have anything to talk about. So in lieu of an April roundup video, we're posting this one. And this one I've been sitting on for so long. I've been wanting to film it for so long, but I didn't want to screw myself up with a Mercury retrograde. So finally, we're doing it. I have a minute here, so we're doing it. And I want to throw my hat in the ring to the deck reviewer slash watcher questions VR. I saw this on Amethyst Ascension's channel, and I believe the creator is Cody from Tarot Readings from a Bitch. So those will both be posted below. And I am coming at this from a watcher perspective, not the reviewer perspective. So it's a little bit different than the Amethyst Ascensions video and Tarot Readings from a Bitch video. Because I mostly watch them. I have a couple unboxings on my channel, but mostly I just watch these. And I want to give tarot to the perspective of a watcher for these types of videos. So let's get into it. Question number one is, what is your tarot experience? Very minimal. I've been reading tarot for about 2.5 years. And wow, doesn't feel like it's been that long. And I started during the pandemic. I started with oracle cards in the summer of 2020, and that kind of got me into tarot reading, which I foolishly thought I could learn on my own from Pinterest. It didn't work out that well. So on Pinterest, I saw that someone said you should use an RWS to learn. So I went into a local metaphysical shop and I asked them where the RWS deck was, and they were like, oh, if you're interested, we're starting a tarot level 1 course on Saturday. And this was like Thursday that I was in there. So I was like, it was meant to be. I had to join. So I joined and I've done the level 2. Level 3 is the astrological portion, and they haven't released the course dates for that. So I'm hoping to take that. I'm thinking I'm going to take it. I don't know yet. We'll see. Um, but I don't do readings for the public. I don't do paid readings. This is mostly just for fun. It's mostly just for myself. And because I've accumulated so many decks over the last 2.5 years, I will do private pick a card readings for my friends that I just send my friends the videos just to get more use from the decks, or to make me feel like I'm getting more use out of all these decks I have. So that's my tarot experience. Why do you review decks is question number 2. I don't. So we're going to flip this switch here, flip the script. And why do you watch deck reviews? So like I said, I do have a couple unboxings. I think unboxings are a little bit different from reviews in the sense that unboxings are just a flip through. You're just looking at the contents of what you're purchasing, what you're going to get when you purchase that item, and what each card looks like. A review, I think, is a little more in depth, and I don't think that I am qualified or knowledgeable enough to do a tarot deck review. Unboxing, totally different. I enjoy watching unboxings, don't get me wrong. I watch probably more unboxings than I do reviews, just because I also think there are more unboxings out there than actual reviews where people are going through each individual card and talking about each individual card and how it relates to the RWS, and then talking about the book and what the contents of the book are, all that jazz. Um, so why do I watch these reviews? Why do I watch deck reviews? So many reasons. Obviously, there's the obvious. You're thinking about buying one, and you want to know if it's something you're going to enjoy, if you're going to like. And the little snippets that you get on the websites or whatever, or just on the back of the box, aren't enough. So it's really nice to have the option to be able to physically see every card as someone walks through it. Sometimes I will already have a deck. I've already purchased it. It's already in my hands. I've already played with it, but I want to have more information about it, you know? Are there things that I've missed? Are there little things, little Easter eggs in the cards that I've missed? And you'd not believe the number of times that I've seen something in a card that someone has pointed out that I didn't pick up on my own. As awful as that is to admit, as embarrassing as that is to admit, it definitely happens. There's also times when I've watched reviews or walkthroughs where it's talked me out of a deck. And I've actually watched multiple ones. So the first one I watch, I'm like, oh yes, I really like this deck. I think I'm going to get it. But then I'll watch more. And the more you watch, the more you're like, actually, I don't love this deck. So it's helpful to not only just watch an unboxing or a deck review, but to watch multiple of the same one. That's super helpful as well. The other thing, this is one of my tarot notebooks that I have. And even if someone's talking about a deck that I don't want, I have no interest in, but they've just, it's a channel that I follow, that I am subscribed to, and I get a notification that they have posted a deck review, or it's a video, a deck review of something I know I don't want. I will probably, depending on my plans for the next few days, I'll probably still watch that video. And I grab my book and I have it at the ready. In here we have several little notebooks. This first one, what was that first one? It's blank. I can't remember what my intentions were for that one. This section here, which is my like tarot journaling. So when I pull cards, it's so stunning as well. Let's just take a second to appreciate this. When I do my tarot journaling, that gets done in there. This book, you can see I've color coded the sides. It is my tarot notebook. So I have a page for each card. Well, my notes, I talk about the elements, and then I get into each card. And I have this book open and ready when I'm watching an unboxing or a review. In case the person I'm watching makes a note or says something about a tarot card, I'm like, huh, that's an interesting way to think about that card. I've never thought about it before. I will jot it down in my book if it's something that resonates with me, if I agree with it. So that's another reason why I watch unboxings. It's not just to make a purchase or not to make a purchase. It's just to get more information on the tarot and seeing how someone else thinks of something or what their perception of something is sometimes like an aha moment where it's like, wow, I never thought of looking at that card that way. Or that is an excellent keyword for that card that I've never thought of before. So you jot it down. And I love that about these videos. That's probably one of my favorite parts about watching a deck review or a deck unboxing is catching those little one-offs that people will say. And it's like, wow, that's great. Question 3. How did you get into reviewing decks? I don't review decks. I do have a couple unboxings, like I said. I'll probably do more unboxings just because they're fun. It's a joyous occasion that I kind of enjoy sharing with TarotTube folks. And also, like I said, I enjoy watching multiple unboxings to get different perspectives to see if I want to buy the deck or not. So throwing mine out there, I don't think hurts. I don't have the knowledge to actually like discuss in detail, but I can unbox, you know, everyone's lighting is different, all that jazz. Everyone's cameras are different. Doesn't hurt. But how did I get into watching it? Obviously, it was just way back when. It was the Wild Unknown. I didn't have the RWS. This was pre-course days. And I had the Wild Unknown Oracle deck, which I loved. So the Wild Unknown Tarot went on sale, 40% off. And I was like, oh, well, if I was to ever own this deck, now would be a good time to buy it. I decided to buy it, and then I would learn at a later date. At least I got it for 40% off. So then I went to TarotTube to look at unboxings before actually buying it, and that's what started the knowledge that, wow, these exist. These videos are out there, and I love them. Question 4, do you receive decks for review? No, I do not. I don't really have plans on doing this. Like, I won't be reaching out to anybody asking for any decks. I'm trying to keep my space, my shelf space, under control, which I'm failing at miserably. But if people are constantly offering, you know, do you want to read this book? Or you read this book? Do you want to review this deck? Do you want to review this deck? it would just accumulate so much, and that's not something I want. I also don't think that I'm knowledgeable enough or experienced enough to be able to provide that type of review. So I don't see content, or I don't see creators reaching out to me for that experience, and vice versa. I would not reach out to them because I don't know what I'm talking about. Again, never say never. If a creator does reach out to me and says, "Hey, do you want to post this on your channel?" and I look at it and it is something that's up my alley and something that I wouldn't mind putting on my shelf, I would probably say yes. So never say never, but I don't foresee that happening. Question 5, what kind of reader are you? So the way I was taught was you learn the numbers. So 0 through 10, you get those down pat, then you learn the suits. So cups are connections and emotions, blah, blah, blah. So then you apply the number to the suit and there's your meaning. That is how I was taught to read. That being said, I do, if I flip over a card and the initial feeling that I get from that card is a little off from the number and the suit, I run with it. I will go with my initial flip side. I will kind of also analyze how the reading would change if I did read with the number and the suit, but most of the time I end up going back to the initial hit. So it also depends on the artwork that I'm looking at. What kinds of hits am I getting from the artwork? What's jumping out to me at first when I first flip over the card? And what initial thoughts I'm getting when I first flip over the card, or emotions or feelings, etc. So mostly numbers and suits. I'm dipping my toes into the astrology side of things. The elemental side of things is still a little over my head, and I'm only saying that because I haven't really tried with the elemental side. So that one's just kind of, I mean, the elemental side kind of goes along with the suits, in my opinion. Like water is intuition and all that jazz, which is the cups. So, but yes, mostly numbers and suits with a side of intuition, intuitive hits. 6, what kinds of decks do you gravitate towards? This is ever evolving for me. When I first started, I was definitely attracted to the bright, cartoony style decks. Now, not so much. I still enjoy those decks, especially in the summer months. That's when I tend to pull out those decks, or when I'm reading for others, because I find that other people can relate better to those. Whereas if you're pulling more muted palettes or darker colored decks, I feel like when you're reading for someone else, it gives it a little more ominous feeling. It's a little more of a shadowy vibe. Only if you don't know the deck, which is why I'm saying if you're reading for someone else and you pull out that type of deck, it kind of, I feel like, sets the tone for that person. I've worked with that deck. I would maybe know, depending on the deck, that that's not how it reads, but people like to see bright, colorful things, I find, when you're reading tarot. So, and those are the decks that I initially gravitated towards. Now, not so much. I don't, I love the colors in This Might Hurt, but the cartoony vibes are what I'm getting away from. But I do think, like I said, it's ever evolving. It depends on my mood that day. It depends on the season. It depends on a lot of stuff. So definitely RWS, which this is kind of leading into the next question, but I gravitate towards RWS and I gravitate towards illustrated pips. So next question is, what do you like in a deck? So illustrated pips, I lean towards RWS. I also really like, this is more, well, I was going to say it's more of an indie deck, but not necessarily. I really like when you can tell a creator is passionate about what they have just created. When they have put blood, sweat, and tears into it, especially if you've been lucky enough to follow along on Instagram, if you caught them early enough in their deck making process, and you've been able to watch it grow and watch the stages and watch the process and watch them talk about all of those things. I love it. I'm thinking about the Ritual Tarot. That's one of my favorite things about the Ritual Tarot is that Tira May just, it is her passion and you can tell she's great at it. Other things I like in a deck. I think I wouldn't say this is important to me. It's not a make or break situation, but I still like a deck to fit in my hands nicely. I do kind of like that. I also like a riffle shuffle. I love I love it. So if I'm only able to overhand, it's a little bit of a disappointment. It's not going to make or break a deck for me, but I like if we're talking about what I like in a deck, that's what I like. I feel like there's more to this question that I'm not saying, so we may come back to it. But question number 8, what do you dislike in a deck? Pips, just because I'm a visual person. I like to see the picture. I like to see the story. I like to be able to evolve that story in my mind when I flip that card over. And a pip, I can't do it. Just can't. And some of them are beautiful, don't get me wrong, but I just can't make that story happen from a pip. I'm going to say something a little potentially controversial, but it's important to note that this is just for now. Right now, as it stands, I'm not 100% sure about AI decks. I am on the fence about AI decks. And when I'm on the fence about something, I'm just going to take a step back from it and I'm going to watch how this plays out. I'm going to watch how it evolves, see what happens with it. It's not a no. Again, never say never. But right now, it is something that I'm stepping away from because I don't know enough about it and I'm not sure how I feel about it. So that's not necessarily a dislike, but it is something that I'm not getting involved with right now. And by not getting involved with, that means I don't want to purchase an AI deck at the moment. At the moment, please don't come for me. But that's something that I probably would not purchase right now. Again, I feel like there's more that I'm missing here. Okay, well, let's go to the next one. And I'm just reading them over here because maybe the next one will trigger something. Last question. Question 9. What do you not care about in a deck? I generally don't care about cardstock. I also don't care about edging if it's gilded or whatever. Delivery person just came to the door. So something else I don't care about is borders. I don't really care if a deck has borders or doesn't have borders. If they're obnoxious, I might be like annoyed about it, but I don't know that ultimately it would prevent me from purchasing a deck. Same with backs. This deck is a great example. I actually have a couple examples right here. So here we have, let's find a prettier card. Wow, every card I'm looking at is sad. Oh, that's nudity. Okay, here we go. So, what is this? Golden Art Nouveau. So the gold foiling, it's pretty. I wouldn't purchase the deck or not purchase the deck because it has gold foiling or not, so I guess that's technically another thing I don't care about. But this is the deck we're talking about. And these are the backs. I mean, I don't mind these backs. I just don't think it goes with the deck. It just doesn't seem to match. But I own it. I've purchased this deck, so it doesn't bother me too much. It is just something that I'm kind of like, man, guys, what were you thinking? Here's another great example. Oh, this is going to knock down my notes. This baffles me. I don't know who made this decision. This is still in order because I'm kind of sort of working with it. The John Bauer Tarot. Like, this is the palette, right? This is the palette throughout the whole deck. Browns, beiges, sagey greens. And this is the back. That is like, bam, this is red. There is your red back. There's no red. There's barely any red. I was going to say there's no red anywhere in the deck, but there is a story. Oh, that little girl's wearing red as well, but most of the time they're not wearing red. And this little guy riding his Yule goat, he's wearing a red hat and a red sweater. Other than that, there's no red. And this, like, does not match. But obviously I purchased the deck. It didn't dissuade me from purchasing the deck. So it's just one of those things where, like, you know, this is what you're looking at when it's one way, and I don't mind these backs. I don't mind them. They're not terrible. I don't know how I feel about the two colors together. It's kind of an odd choice. I don't mind. I don't hate it. But then you flip it over and it just doesn't match. But yeah, that's it. That's my VR to Amethyst Ascension and Cody, tarot readings from Bitch from a watcher perspective. So it definitely helps to watch these videos. It helps with making purchases, and it helps with not making purchases. Probably more often with making purchases. I've definitely been convinced to purchase the deck from watching an unboxing, but I've also been dissuaded, is that what I want to say, from purchasing a deck. So, and then I've got my handy dandy notes that it's like a tarot hangout for me almost. It is one-sided because it's a person talking to their phone, but I kind of feel like I don't have tarot friends that I can really hang out with in person. Um that I can just call up and be like, hey, you want to come over and play with some cards? You want to sling some cards with me? So it's a little bit of a hangout for me where I can make my notes, and I'm doing something crafty at the same time, and I've got this person on and they're talking tarot. We're having a little hangout. It's nice, right? Right? Please tell me I'm not the only one. Okay. So with that, enjoy your day, and sorry about not doing anything in the month of April, but May is a doozy. We've got a lot going on in May already, and we're at the 19th, so May is going to be a big video. Thanks for watching and enjoy your day.